Hey, folks, welcome back to another episode of Painting with Victor Rigoli. I'm your senior citizen oil painter or painter artist, and I wanted to do a quick little video for you to talk a little bit about something art books. Don't know how many of you have art books, books by artists, instructional books, uh, etc. There's a wide variety of books out there. I counted up the other day, and I hope my wife doesn't watch this, but I got about 50 books on art. And be honest, I bought about 3 or 4 within the last probably couple months. But anyway, um, I wanted to know if anybody was interested in maybe me doing a book review, and if so, leave me a comment below if you'd like for me to review a book, or if you have a book that has been beneficial to you in your art, pursuing art or learning about painting, or maybe there's a certain artist that you follow that you like. It could be somebody, from the 19th century, 20th century, could be somebody that's, still alive today. Now, I've got a stack of books here. I've got, gosh, I don't know how many I got here. Let's just take a look here. I got 1, 2, 3, got 9 books. And this book here is The Art of Andrew Wyeth. And the funny thing about this, I didn't realize I had this book. I got this book from a friend of mine who passed away. She was an artist and she passed away, Peggy. And she left me a lot of her art supplies, easels, um, paint, some brushes, books. I got a lot of the books that I have from Peggy, and I'm grateful that she did that. But I was watching a video the other day about this artist, and I was really impressed with the video and was learning about him. And all of a sudden, as I was going through and looking at, kind of taking an inventory, which what I did was for my inventory is I took pictures of the cover of the books. And why did I do that? Well, if you're like me, I did say I'm your senior citizen artist. Um, Sometimes we forget things. Okay. I forget things too. And well, I may go to the bookstore, I may go to Books a Million, it may be Barnes and Noble. Um, I might be out on Amazon or something like that. But most of the time, if I'm out shopping at Books a Million or um, Barnes and Noble, I'll see a book and say, "Oh, I really like that book." And because I have so many books, I have to keep track of how many books I've got. So my advice to you is take a picture of the books, put them in a folder on your phone. I created a folder. I think I called it art books, my art books, something like that. And um, I just took pictures of everything and put them in there. And that way, when I do go shopping and I'm out there at, say, the box store, I can look at my folder and say, "Oh yeah, I've already got that book," or "No, I don't have that book." So, little tip for you there is take a picture or do an inventory. If you want to be real fancy about it and put all this information in a spreadsheet, you could do that too. But anyway, I got this particular book here. I've got Edgar Payne's book here. This is a great, great book. I highly recommend you purchasing this book. You can get it on Amazon. You could probably order off Books a Million or Barnes and Noble, wherever you shop and get your books, you can get it. Okay, it's composition of outdoor painting. This is almost one of those must-have books for us artists. I got this one here. I think I got it. I think this is one. I don't know that I bought this one. I think this might be one that Peggy gave me. And I like looking at books and looking at the different artists, from the 19th century, 1800s time period, and some might be a little bit older than that. But anyway, this one is 100 Great Artists. And I thought, well, that's pretty cool. Now it does have, some more recent artists, maybe in the 20th century, which is fine. The last one in here is Andy Warhol, but it has your typical artists, Claude Monets and what have you. But I got that one. Now this is one that I ordered, Drawing Scenery, Landscapes and Seascapes. It's by Jack Ham. This is a great book because doing sketches, doing little thumbnails, if you're out there learning about art and before you start painting and creating a painting, you want to do a little sketch. You want to get your composition down. That's why it's important to study Edgar Payne's composition book so you can learn about the different ways of creating the composition for your oil painting. But you'll want to sketch things out, because if you're using photo references, one of the things that I learned from Christine Lashley fairly recently, she's another artist that I highly recommend that you follow her on YouTube. Check her out on internet. She has some instructional videos out on PaintTube, so you could get a tutorial from her. But anyway, she was just kind of talking a little bit about how to do composition and sketching things out, and I think it's just really key for us to do that as we prepare to sketch and work hard on drawing things out. And this gives you some good instruction in this book about how to use pencil drawings and things of that nature. So that's really cool there on that book. Another book that I've got, I bought this one. It's by Mitchell Albala, Landscape Painting. It's a real good one. Essential Concepts and Techniques for Plein Air and Studio Practice. This is probably the Bible. Some people say it is anyway. This is Richard Smith's Alla Prima 2 book. And unfortunately, he passed away not too long ago. But this book, when I bought this book on Amazon, my wife was kind of shocked at how much I paid for it. And I was too, because I don't think I've spent that much on a book on Amazon that expensive since the days I was in college. Because those of us, if you've been to college, or if you have kids that are in college, how expensive those textbooks are. But this is a great book. And one of the great things that I learned and I did and put into practice that he suggested that we do is creating these color grids, taking your colors, mixing, the yellows, mixing greens, the different yellows you can use, different blues you can use, things like that, and getting your greens. What happens when you add a little titanium white to it, that kind of thing. And I've got charts like that. I created charts, and in fact, I used them earlier today. I was working on a large painting, and I was struggling with what I was seeing on the photo reference. I was just having a hard time, trying to mix that up. And so I got my color charts out, and I kind of hit on something. And I said, okay, well, this is the color combination I'm going to use for that grass. Okay. All right. Here's a couple that I picked up at Books A Million. The one where I live in Central Georgia, they're getting rid of, I don't know why, they're getting rid of a lot of their art books. And it kind of makes me wonder how much longer Books A Million and Barnes & Noble will be around, because you can buy anything you want off of Amazon. And remember, Amazon started as a way to purchase books, right? And then they just grew from there. But this is a book that I have The Life and Works of Van Gogh. Very, very good book. It's got a lot of good pictures in here of his artwork. And if you ever want to copy um, one of his paintings, and you can do that just for fun, just for practice, copy one of these great artists, learn from them, um, modernize it a little bit, put your spin on it. That's fine. But this one's good, and it talks about Van Gogh. It's got a lot of his uh, paintings in here, photos. It's got some pencil sketches and things like that as well. That's a good one. This is one very similar. I mean, it's for Claude Monet. And then I almost bought this book. Well, I saw this book at Books A Million the other day, and I was in there, and I said, "Wow, that's a pretty good book." And I think it had the plastic wrap on it. They've gotten to where they do that a lot with books like this. They won't let you look inside them. And I think the reason they do that now is because people will come in, look at the books, and nah, it's not really what I want. Now, you have to buy the book in order to look inside it and take it home, take that plastic wrap off. But this is Impressionism, the artist and other masterpieces. It's a pretty good book. It's like $30. But when I was in Barnes and Noble, not Barnes and Noble, but Books A Million a couple of weeks or so ago, they, as I said, it looked like they were getting rid of their art books. I mean, I went in there maybe a couple months ago, and they had this pretty good section. And when I went back, they had moved things around. I said, "Well, what's going on?" So I asked a person, a clerk that worked there, and I said, "Hey, where's your art books at?" And he says, "Well, we might have a few right over here." And it was like one shelf or two. And he said, "Well, check the clearance section." I said, "Oh, really?" He said, "You getting rid of them?" He said, "Well, yeah, we're kind of moving some things around." So I went over there and I found some books, and I found one, um, Renoir and Monet, um, Manet, not Claude Monet, but Manet, the artist. Um, and I think there was another one that I bought. I can't remember. Paul Gauguin, and they were like $5, usually about 10 or $12, and they had them on sale half price. So I picked up about 3 books. Um, and these are great references, and I just encourage you to, you know, pick up some of these books and use them as references. You can learn from studying some of the old masters. And I've got a ton of other books, and I've got a book by Ian Roberts, which is a great book. He talks about composition as well. He's a good painter. He does some plein air painting, studio painting, things like that. And that is a good book because he kind of takes you step by step through it, through the process. And especially if you're learning, you need a book like that to take you through the process. How do I start the painting? Should I tone the canvas? How do I start my sketch? Want to get things down. And I remember something just now. I was talking about Christine Lashley. One of the things that she had said about being a painter is if you're using photo references, and you can add a tree if you want to, or take that tree out. It's your painting, okay? And especially if you're out doing plein air painting, you may not want to paint that tree, or those rocks or whatever, or you may want to add some rocks or whatever. It's your painting, so you can do with your painting what you want to do with your painting, right? So you can add things to it, okay? You can make certain things bigger, you can make them smaller, you can move them up in the foreground or back in the foreground, back in the painting or up in the painting to the foreground or to the background or whatever. But I just encourage you to, get some books and study those. And if you'd like for me to um, do a book review, then please leave me a comment. I'll do my best to share with you and just kind of walk through the author and what the book's about, maybe show some of the pictures and talk about it. Now, I am reading a book, and I think I mentioned this, excuse me, in another video that I did, Your Brain on Art. And I just got that recently. I got it last week, and I'm eating that thing up at night. When I get finished in the evening after dinner, I'll come back up here to the studio. I'll clean whatever brushes I was using that day. And usually about 8 or 8:30, I'm going downstairs, get ready for bed. We go to bed kind of early. Oh, we're not going to sleep right then. We're watching TV, binge watching something. And so I'll read a book. And I've been reading that book and learning so much about how our brain works and how it's stimulated by music, sounds, and art and color and things of that nature. And it's a great, great book. And I encourage you to do a little research on that. Your Brain on Art, and it talks about how colors are different. As far as different parts of the world, people see colors and it impacts them differently. And I never really thought about this before, but in that book, and I just read it last night and I shared it with my wife, and it says the color red in China means lucky, being lucky and good fortune. But in the United States, it's kind of a warning color or danger color. Red stop sign, red exit, red can be hot. We have red for the hot water and blue for the cold water, right? So, but I never thought about this before until then when I read that is, yeah, I've gone to Chinese restaurants and everything. You go and outside's red, the inside red upholstery, sometimes red carpet, a lot of red. Now I understand why they use red. So the whole point of the book, and I'll get to it eventually, and I watched a little video of another artist did on this particular book, and she talked about how some colors can be calming, some colors can cause us to be more focused, some can help us to be more creative or productive, and these are important. So when we create our art, understanding color, and especially like if you're selling art and you're maybe working with a hospital or therapist, or you're working with a dentist office or a doctor's office or something like that, and you're going to put some art in there. Yes, you want to have some colors that cause people to feel at ease and feel relaxed and calm. Okay. Nothing against a Picasso, but sometimes that's kind of some wild stuff, and you don't really want a lot of wild colors and designs and things like that that can cause some anxiety or could elevate the anxiety that the person may be feeling. Because a lot of people feel anxiety and nervousness and things like that when they go to the doctor. So, gosh, thinking about that is to, okay, if you're gonna create certain art for a doctor's office or dentist office or something like that, and you want to have kind of a soothing, calm effect on people, think about the colors that you use. But I highly recommend that book. But anyway, guys, I just want to do something real quick here, put this video out. Please hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up today. And yeah, what books do you have that you like and that have been beneficial to you? Drop me a comment, let me know. But anyway, take care, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye now.